Hello, thank you for being in a new video. This time we have an unboxing of the Huawei MateBook D16 2024 edition. Let's get started. This computer has been very popular because of its price, which in many occasions is very competitive, and because it is a computer that always gives us a good construction. In this renewed version, we are going to find the most recent processors of the 13th generation of Intel. In this case, in my hands, I have the version with Intel Core i9, which has an introductory price of 29,999 pesos. On the screen, you see the reference price in dollars, although remember that the prices here are not the same as over there. There are also lower versions with Intel Core i5. The most basic has 8 GB of RAM and 512 GB of solid-state storage. But this version, which is the top of the range, comes with 16 GB of RAM and a terabyte of storage. But I insist, below there are different versions with more or less RAM and storage, so you can make sure you look for the one that fits your budget. So join me in taking this computer out of its box to see what's included. So I'm already making the necessary cuts in the box, and we're going to unbox it. The truth is that like any laptop, there is not much content inside the box. We're going to meet to start with the laptop, obviously. And as you know very well, the 16 models are usually very large, and this one will be no exception. It really is a huge computer. We'll take a closer look in a moment, but let me see if there's anything else in the box. We'll come across your charger, which comes smartphone style, meaning the plug comes attached to the charging adapter. So this can be a bit of a disadvantage for some because it can get in the way a lot when plugging it in. In addition, the cable is not exaggeratedly long, as if we could get to see in other models of laptops. Possibly these are some of its most debatable points or its weakest points when compared to other brands' proposals. And that's basically all that comes in the box. We will keep waiting to see which brand dares to integrate more things in the box, or if you already know of one, post it in the comments. So here we have a closer look at this computer that maintains a good metal construction, but unlike the last generation, we have removed ports, and that honestly bothers us. We used to have 2 USB-A ports, now we only have one on this right side and on the left side. We used to have 2 USB-C ports, but now we have one USB-C port, which is the one that you're going to use to charge the computer, and the other port has been transformed into USB-A. So let's say it keeps 2 USB-A ports, but they took away a USB-C port that could be quite useful. Fortunately, it keeps the HDMI connector and maintains the hybrid headphone and microphone jack. Remember that this Huawei D series is the entry-level series, and possibly that's why they still prioritized keeping the 2 USB-A ports, but I can't find any explanation why they removed the USB-C port. Inside, it maintains a trackpad that is standard. It still does not take advantage of all the space that would be available. It maintains the numeric keypad and keeps the backlit keyboard with 2 levels of illumination. That's a positive thing. The camera also remains at the top, as we had already seen since last year, so in many respects, it is a computer that continues very similar to the last generation, simply renewing the processor. But I already mentioned some of the changes in the ports. However, let's see now how important the change from one generation to another can be with respect to power, and for that I am going to use the Nova Bench benchmark, which is the one I usually use in the unboxings of the computers. So being unplugged from the power and with the battery balance profile, we are going to run this benchmark, and then we are going to run it with the computer plugged in with the maximum performance profile to see what would be the highest performance it can give us. I'll come back when this test is over. And we already have here the result. As you can see, in general, we would have 2,490 points. But in CPU, it reaches a very good score, taking into account that it is unplugged. 1,731 points. Although in GPU, it is quite weak when it is unplugged. It seems that the Iris Xe graphics, if they have no power, they get quite weak. It only gave us 109 points. But let's plug it into the power to see how it does with all that energy. Also, let's select the maximum performance profile in Windows, and remember that pressing FNP enables maximum performance mode in Huawei. We're ready and we're going to start this benchmark. We'll come back when it's finished, and here we already have the results. Overall 2806. We have then in CPU 2033, which is where this device has its strongest point in performance. I can just give you as a benchmark that it's more powerful in CPU than the 16-inch MacBook Pro in this same benchmark. Although you know that the benchmarks are just for reference, the real performance we will see later in the review when we test various things, but in GPU it is definitely a little bit lower compared to other alternatives that have dedicated graphics cards or compared against the integrated graphics that the Mac has. It just scored 110 points. So possibly for tasks that require a lot of graphics processing, it still falls a little bit short. But considering that the Huawei D series is still the entry-level series, we have a good feeling. For the moment, this has been all for this video, but remember that for the review, we will have a much more extensive analysis. So if you are not subscribed, I invite you to subscribe because for now, this video is over. If you like this video, you know you can indicate it and we'll see you next time.